just cannot lose that game. And out of any type of situation, you just cannot lose that. Where majority of the night you looked like the much better team than the Islanders, and you had a bunch of chances. You had a ton of them. You were nearly doubling them in shots. And the result on the scoreboard, you didn't win that. The Islanders win this game 2-1 in the overtime. And like I said, the Flyers in this game, yes, they were the much better team than the Islanders. But they had the Flyers still, same mistakes, sloppy turnovers, especially in their own defensive zone and the neutral zone. And that one of those huge turnovers turned into both of the Islanders' goals in this game. Majority of the Islanders' shots came in results of Flyers turnovers. So yes, that is still a major issue. And also, Ilya Sorokin was just fantastic in net for the Islanders tonight. That's a game where the Islanders goaltender stole the game. Definitely. Even though the Flyers, they also shot themselves in the foot a couple of times with the turnovers, Sorokin was definitely a big part in that because he played fantastic tonight. And what Sorokin did today for the Islanders, the Flyers really haven't seen that much this season with their goaltenders, both Brian Elliott, even though Elliott, I would say early in the season you saw that from Elliott, but as the past weeks have happened since the beginning of March, the Flyers really haven't had that game where a goaltender just stole it. Never really had that game. And the Islanders, for them, they had it tonight. Sorokin stole the game for them for how great he played, because he played fantastic. And like I said, if you look at some of the stats too, you can definitely see that the Flyers dominated in a lot of different stats. The Flyers almost doubled them in shots, 37-20 in favor of them. The Flyers dominated in the faceoff circle. The power play issue in this game, you had a power play under the final 2 minutes of the third period, and you couldn't score on it, and that power play looked like absolute trash. And yeah, the power play, special teams still continue to be an issue. Then you also have, the penalty kill. They killed off the only Islanders penalty in this game. The Islanders out-hit us by 2. They blocked more shots, and yeah, we have 11 giveaways in this game. Just cannot do that. Simply cannot do that. The Flyers outshot the Islanders in every period, 12, except for the overtime, actually. 12-4 in the first period for the Flyers, 14-6 in the second for the Flyers, 11-6 in the third, and the Flyers were outshot in the overtime 4-0. So yeah, just like I said, Flyers played a much better game, but you just can't lose it. You just cannot lose it, and the Flyers shot themselves in the foot a couple of times and resulted in goals in the back of their net. And also, odd man rushes. The Flyers had a ton of odd man rushes in this game, and resulting shooting themselves in the foot way too many times. When you get a 3-on-1 and you can't generate I feel like I remember seeing on one of the graphics, the Flyers had, I think, at least 5 odd man rushes in this game, and I feel like maybe 1 or 2 of them they generated a shot at least. The other times, one of the Islanders defensemen was able to break up the play, or the Flyer was taking way too long to think of a decision to do. And yeah, that resulted in not many scoring chances off of those odd man rushes because, one, either the player took way too long, or you put it right in the breadbasket of the defender that was getting back into the play and taking it away from you. And just, you gotta score on your odd man rushes. Like you gotta win. If the Flyers maybe score at least 1 or 2 on those odd man rushes, they win this game. But still, it's hypothetical at that point. You lost a game where it mattered in the score sheet. And you just simply cannot lose this game. Simply cannot. First period ends 0-0. Sorokin playing fantastic. Elliott really didn't see that much. Flyers get a couple of odd man rushes. I think they do get a power. Yeah, they don't actually get a power play in this period. They don't get a power play until the second period. But Flyers had a majority of the chances. Couple of odd man rushes. Couldn't score. Sorokin playing good. Same thing basically for a little bit in the second period as well. Flyers were getting a lot of odd man rushes. Coots, the first line had a couple of odd man rushes. The second line had a couple of odd man rushes. And just, yeah, they couldn't generate on those. Simply could not. But then you get halfway through this period, you get the third line out there. Lindblom, Giroux, and Voracek. Those guys have had some pretty decent chemistry since Alain Vigneault put those guys together. They had that really great game in the Thursday game against the Islanders, but they looked a little sloppy to start off this game, this line, but this shift right here by Claude Giroux, Oscar Lindblom, Claude Giroux especially. Flyers are cycling the puck around the zone, got Claude Giroux on the right side of the net, throws the biscuit on there, goes off a Lindblom skate, and it's a 1-0 Flyers lead, assist from Giroux and Voracek. And the Islanders, they looked like they wanted to review it because it did go off a Lindblom skate, But I guess they didn't. They were just cutting it too close. They didn't want to take the chance of getting a penalty. So understandable there, and it's 1-0 Flyers. Flyers still get a couple more chances. They get a power play. They can't score on it. And yes, just same difference, same situations. Odd man rushes, Sorokin looking good, and Elliott not facing that many things. But Flyers turning the puck over, getting a little bit of odd man breaks from the Islanders, and he does come up clutch in the first and the second period when the Flyers do turn those pucks over in their own zone. And it started to become more frequent as the game went along. Turnover in the neutral zone, can't get the puck out. Turnover in your own zone, turnover in the offensive zone. It seemed more frequent as the game was going along, especially in the third period, because that was just where it felt like the Flyers had a little bit more difficulty getting the puck out of their own zone, even though they had a lot more chances in the third period as well than the Islanders. Still, they just couldn't generate on those. And one of those turnovers turned into the game-tying goal early on in this period. Flyers can't get the puck out of their own zone. Islanders start to cycle. There's a scramble in front of the net. Elliott can't get on top of the puck, squeaks out to the right of him, and there's Oliver Wahlstrom to bury the puck and make it a 1-1 game. And that's where another situation where you can't get the puck out of the zone. And Islanders, they continue to get their chances in the third period as well. Same thing with the Flyers. Sorokin making a couple of great saves. Elliott having to come up clutch when he needs to. Flyers turning the puck over, yada, yada, yada. Honestly, you could say, even though the Flyers played better, I kind of found this to be a pretty, I would say, boring game. I would say this game was pretty boring. It was more of a Sorokin stealing the game for the Flyers, and then the Flyers just choking on their odd man rushes at this point. That's what it felt like to me. It kind of did feel like that. Because the Flyers, yes, they did have a lot of odd man rushes. And no, I've said that many times, but that's one of the standouts from this game. Flyers had way more odd man rushes than the Islanders did, and the Flyers didn't score on one of those. And that's a major problem. Because when you come into the zone, when they come into the zone on an odd man rush, 3-on-1, 3-on-2, 2-on-1, it's either the one guy with the puck takes way too long to settle anything down, and he decides to pass it at the last second, and the guy can't handle the pass, or the defender comes in and takes the pass and the shot away, or if we elect to shoot the puck, we miss the net. So, yeah, that's a problem. It's a major problem. So you go into the final couple of minutes in the period, the Flyers are pressing a little bit. Flyers manage to draw a power play at the end, under 2 minutes left in this period, and this power play is bad. It is so bad. Especially that last power play. The turnovers on the slingshot pass trying to transition into the zone just couldn't generate anything, couldn't connect on anything. It was just bad. And the Flyers barely had any setup time in the offensive zone. Couldn't get shots through. They just looked horrible. They looked horrible on that power play, and that's definitely a power play you would want to score on when you have it in the final minutes of the game. And the power play, yes, did overlap into the overtime, but it was like 10, 15 seconds left of the power play. So really they wouldn't have, ideally, that much time on it. So you go into the overtime, you get that power play for the 10 seconds, really nothing happens on it. It turns into 4-on-4 hockey. And this would stay the way for the entire overtime. There was no whistles whatsoever. Play just continued to happen, and the Flyers really didn't get anything going. They could not get a single thing going in this overtime because the Islanders, they looked like the much better team in this overtime. No whistles. No one was able to cover the puck. Just nothing. You weren't able to transition it back into 3-on-3, and it stayed 4-on-4 the entire time. And here comes the terrible turnover by the Flyers, especially at the end of the overtime. This is more like halfway to the endway point of the overtime. The Flyers, they're in their own zone. And this was constant throughout the overtime, too. Flyers bring it back into their own zone. They feel like they can't handle the forecheck of the Islanders, and they look afraid to bring the puck up in the overtime. And it especially happened on the final goal for the Islanders. Flyers are playing with it in their own zone. I think this was Xavier on the ice at this time with Gostisbehere in the Flyer zone. Tries to bring the pass over to Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere doesn't know where the puck is, or he can't handle the pass. And then it jumps right onto the stick of the Islanders. Pajot comes up, the Flyers, and then here comes Anthony Beauvillier, wraps it around Brian Elliott. Brian Elliott kind of gets stuck on the post for a little bit, takes a little bit longer to get to the other side. Beauvillier banks the puck in off of Brian Elliott's skate and into the net, and that's your game. That's your game. Bad turnovers result in your goals. Can't get the puck out of your zone. You can't score on the power play. You can't score on your odd man rushes. And it's sad to say because I feel like the Flyers played a lot better today. And I hate saying that. Just because this is a game you cannot lose. But it's still, this is a game where Sorokin stole it. You couldn't score on your odd man rushes, and you allowed the Islanders to continue to score off your mistakes. And the Islanders, yes, they were very opportunistic in this game. Both of their goals were scored off mistakes. Sorokin played great. And the Flyers shot themselves in the foot a lot, just not scoring on their odd man rushes. I don't know what else to say. I just don't. This was a game the Flyers honestly should have won. And they shot themselves in the foot way too many times. And like I said, I thought the Flyers were the much better team in this game. And goalie stole it, and the Islanders were very opportunistic. It happens. It definitely happens. But I guess the benefit is that you have a game 24 hours from now, tomorrow at home against the New Jersey Devils, definitely a much weaker opponent. But the Flyers have proved to us this year that when they play a weaker opponent, meaning the New York Rangers, they lost 9-0. So I guess at this point, anything could happen. But yeah, this team needs to wake up. They need to find a way to do something. They need to make some changes. And yeah, still, they got to make a trade. And who the hell knows when that is going to happen? Who knows? It's not going to happen tonight. It's not going to happen tomorrow. When is it going to happen? At this point, we're just playing the waiting game. And I hate playing the waiting game. You got to do something now if you want to try and make the playoffs. Which right now, I don't see this team as a playoff contender. I just don't see it with the way they're playing. Turning the puck over way too much, same mistakes. Special teams are a major issue for this team. Goaltending has been a major issue, especially in the past 3 weeks, even though the defense is a reason for that. Even, bad team defense. Just horrible team defense. Especially with the defensemen themselves as well. It's kind of bad when Justin Braun has been your best defenseman this year. And yeah, Justin Braun has been the Flyers' best defenseman this season. And that's a bad thing. When guys like Ivan Provorov has had an off year, Sanheim and Myers, oh my god, I have no idea what happened to those two. Both of those guys just decided to have a terrible season so far. And I know Myers was injured at the start of the season, but still, like, those two just haven't had a good season. They just haven't. Like I said, Provorov has had a really inconsistent season, hasn't been himself, especially with missing Matt Niskanen. Gustafsson sucks. And yeah, Gosper has been one of our best defensemen, but yeah, he still has those lapses where he's inconsistent, like the rest of the team. So, a lot of things this team needs to fix. Who knows when they're going to fix them. They play tomorrow night against the New Jersey Devils. Hopefully they can find a way just to get some points out of that tomorrow. And with this stretch against the Islanders, these 3 games, the Flyers only managed to get 3 points. So they get 3 out of 6 against the Islanders. Yeah, they need to find a way to get it going. They do. They definitely do. So, what are your thoughts on this game, everyone? What are your thoughts on the Flyers' loss to the Islanders? Don't forget to leave your comments down in the comment section. As always, don't forget to check out the Panda Lines, which I am a part of. They're linked in the description below. Don't forget to check out the Flyer Up Podcast merchandise website and also the link to Flyers Nitty Gritty. Those links will be in the description below as well. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe as well to the channel. And I will see you next time. Oh boy.